Hello everybody, I am Christine. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I share homeschool content here, so if that's something you're interested in, please go ahead and subscribe. And don't forget, if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button so I know, because I know to make more of similar content then. Today I'm going to be sharing a video all about how homeschooling has changed me. And this video is in collaboration with Abby from Rooted in Rest. I reached out to her a little while ago because I wanted to work with her because she's amazing and I really, really love the content that she produces on her channel. I love the heart that she has behind her homeschool and her homeschool channel, and she inspires me to do better. And so I am really, really thankful that I get to work with her on this video. So I'm going to have her video linked down in the description below, and I encourage you to go and click on that and watch what she has to share, because I feel like she's like my big sister as far as homeschooling goes. She just inspires me, and I am always like, oh yeah, there's another video from Abby. I can go and see what she is sharing, and there's been so much wisdom gleaned from her and what she has shared. So I really appreciate her and the effort that she puts out on YouTube, and she also is on Instagram, so you can follow her over there. I am also on Instagram. I will put my handle here so you can go and find me there. I would love to have you. But with all that said, I'm going to talk about how homeschooling has changed me. If you are new, I have been homeschooling for just over a year now. I've kind of been like formally doing it. I've always known that I was going to homeschool my children. I was homeschooled myself, and it wasn't even a decision. It was just a given. Like, I was going to homeschool my kids. And I was inspired to make this video because with the influx of homeschoolers that we've had recently, there have been so many discussions about how women don't feel equipped to homeschool their children, and dads. I mean, I'm generalizing with women because overwhelmingly it's usually women who are homeschooling their kids. But of course, dads as well. And parents in general just do not feel equipped to homeschool their children. They don't feel adequate. They are made to feel inadequate by society and different programs that are set up. And this is not something new. This has been around for years. I mean, when my mother first started homeschooling myself and my siblings, she definitely did not feel equipped to do it. So it's not a new concept, but it has just been so loud lately because we have so many new homeschoolers. And so I felt really inspired to create this video as an encouragement, hopefully, to new homeschoolers, and even those of you who have been doing it for a while but maybe just need to be encouraged and strengthened. And I wanted to share it because none of us are enough for our children. We weren't ever supposed to be enough for our kids. That's where God steps in. But I wanted to show you how homeschooling can change you. Even though you might not feel as though you're enough and you might be flawed, which we all are, it doesn't mean you're going to stay that way. I mean, homeschooling, we're teaching our children. We're expecting them to change and learn and grow. Why on earth would you not expect yourself to do the same? You know, learning and changing and growing does not stop when childhood ends and adulthood begins. It is a lifelong thing. And so I'm just going to share 5 things that I've noticed where I have changed, and it certainly doesn't mean that I've like reached a pinnacle. I'm still definitely going. There's a lot of work still to do, but it's things that I have been encouraged by, and yeah. So some of them are like character traits, and some of them are just like habits and things like that. So number 1, I have noticed that I am a lot more intentional with my parenting since I have started homeschooling, and I don't know why, per se. I think it's maybe just because I am more focused on what my children need, and I've been more intentional even spiritually with them. And I think it's because we can like schedule it into our day. I have 3 kids that are 5, 3, and 1. My youngest 2 will be turning 4 and 2 very, very soon. But they're all very close in age. I feel like I've been swamped in babies for the past 5 years or so. And sometimes that can mean that you're just in survival mode from day to day. And we're slowly coming out of that baby stage now. And with homeschooling, I feel like it's just made me so much more intentional about how I am speaking to my children, what I'm expecting of them, how I'm disciplining them and training them and nurturing them. And I know that you can do that without homeschooling, but for me personally, homeschooling has really helped with that. And it's just made me hyper focus on the things that are really important and be able to turn away from the things that are just like fluff and not so important, the things that can just be fillers but actually don't achieve a lot in your day. So homeschooling has made me more intentional with my parenting for sure, and more intentional spiritually. And I often wonder if that's because of the inadequacy that you feel and you realize how much you need God to fill in the gaps and to like pull you all away, that it just makes you more hyper focused on the spiritual needs of your children and yourself. The next thing that homeschooling has done for me and has changed, the area it's changed me in, and like this is not something I ever would have said about myself, but it has made me a lot more flexible. I am somebody who likes a schedule, a to-do list. I like a planned calendar. I do not like it when my husband calls me 5 minutes before he is due home and says I'm going to be another half an hour. Like, it kills me. And homeschooling has just really helped me to be more flexible. Part of that is because my youngest is like going between naps. Some days she has 2 naps, some days she has 1 nap, and we kind of have to work when she is napping or occupied. And so I've learned to fit school in our days wherever it suits. And also, I have young kids. Like my eldest is only 5, and so we're doing school, but I don't force school work on him if he's just not feeling it that day. Like if his brain is just not focused on bookwork or learning that day in that sense, because they're always learning. But as far as like formal schoolwork, then we give it a pass because he has the rest of his life to be learning and doing bookwork and schoolwork. He doesn't need to be forced into doing it at age 5. And so that has taught me to let go of a lot of things and be flexible and say yes to fun opportunities, even though I know it's going to infringe on like bookwork, because the bookwork can wait, you know. And so I've definitely become more flexible. I know I can still work a lot in this area, but it has helped for sure. And actually, if you want to see a little bit more about that, I did a video on our homeschool schedule, like how I plan our homeschool days and things like that. And I'll link it here because you'll see exactly what I mean by like how flexible I've been with homeschooling. Number 3 is that homeschooling has changed me and taught me to slow down. I have always been a high achiever in the sense that I like set these goals and standards for myself, and I feel like I have to meet them and I have to get there, and I'm a failure if I don't. And I feel like homeschooling has really encouraged me to just slow down and put things aside and focus on what's really important. And it's kind of just a forced thing that's happened because you have to. Like, you just cannot physically do all the things all the time. And I work from home and I homeschool my kids, and I have 3 little ones, and I have 0 childcare or anything like that. And that's the way that I want it to be. But it's a lot. Like, keeping up with a home, raising 3 kids, homeschooling them, and running a business from home is a lot. And I don't do those things to feel like I'm superwoman or anything. Like, each of those things is life-giving to me. It adds value to my life. But I've also realized that you can have it all, just not all at once. And some days you're going to have to put some things aside, and that's okay. And homeschooling has just made me realize what's important and what is not. My husband has been away all week. I mean, by the time this comes out, he would have been well and truly home, but he has been away all week doing work conference. And I have done like 0 work on my business this week because I just cannot, like, looking after my little ones 24/7 and not having that support and backup has been really hard. And I mean, I don't know how single mamas do it and how military spouses, I don't know how you do it, because it is hard work, like just mentally for me, knowing that I have the responsibility of all these three kids on my own. It's a lot. And so we have done homeschooling this week. I haven't worked on my business. Homeschooling has been really lax and chill. We've done a lot of just reading, and that's fine. And I'm totally okay with that. So I'm so grateful to see the beauty now in slowing down and just having really special days filled with fun memories and not having to get all the things done all the time. Number 4 is that homeschooling has changed me and helped me to lean on God more. I think motherhood in general does this because there's nothing like becoming a mother to show you exactly how inadequate you are. Mothers are amazing, don't get me wrong. I mean, God has programmed us to be able to do incredible things, but I just firmly believe that we are nothing without Him. And homeschooling has shown me where I fall short. Character-wise, my lack of patience. And this is like the number one thing that you hear from potential homeschool parents is, I just don't have the patience for that. Guess what? Neither do I. I am not patient. I lose my temper all of the time. My son goes, oh, please, Mom, please don't get mad. And I'm like, I'm not mad. I'm just frustrated. You know, like when you're a kid, they're supposed to be reading a book, and like every word, he stops and starts telling me a story about that word. And I'm like, just read the story, please. So I am flawed in those areas, and I know I can get better at that with God's help, but it's just for me has been like really seeing how much I need Him and how weak I am and how inadequate I actually am. And that's not to like downplay and say I'm like a useless person, because I'm not. I know that there's huge value in my life. There's huge value in every single person's life on this earth. But we are nothing without Him. And I know that I can do great good in my children's lives if I allow Him to work through me and if I allow Him to take the reins and lead and guide our homeschool. And number 5, this is more of like a habit thing that has certainly changed me, and that is homeschooling has reignited my love for books. I was always an avid reader as a child and a teenager and even a young adult, and then I started having babies and I was just too tired, guys. Like, picking up books and reading was just not something I've really done a lot of over the past 5 years. But since we started homeschooling again, I'm getting back into the swing of it, and I'm really enjoying it. And oh my gosh, I go into a bookstore and I could just become very poor very quickly because I want to spend all the money on all the books. And even for myself, like getting back into the habit of reading for myself novels and, you know, nonfiction. Mostly nonfiction is what I enjoy, but just getting back into reading. I mean, there are screens everywhere all the time, and I think when you're a mother with young kids, it's very easy to want to like turn on a screen to just veg out so you don't have to think. And I get that, and I still do that like every day because I'm still really tired. But I have been a lot more intentional about focusing on reading for myself and because I want my kids to see that. They need to see the habit of reading and reading intentionally and all that thing. They're going to see the habit of looking at screens all the time, everywhere. Like, we don't even have to work on that. That'll be just a thing. So I have to be more intentional about reading. But it has definitely reignited my love for books, and I'm really excited for the future and all the things going forward. So I hope this was encouraging. I hope that my heart was heard. I don't want to like ever belittle anybody or make them feel like they can't do things. Like I've heard it a couple times where people have said to me, oh my gosh, you do so much, you're amazing. I'm not, guys. I'm a hot mess most of the time. And you need to know that you do not have to have it all together. You do not have to even come close to being perfect to be a good homeschool mom and to do the job well. You can do it. God's there. He's just willing to hold your hand and walk you through this. And your kids will come out great if you just trust Him with the process, okay? Don't let fear of failure hold you back, because you're going to miss out on all the amazing opportunities that will come from homeschooling. And I'm just so grateful that there is so much grace afforded to us and that we get to learn and grow as adults. And that it's not just like, okay, childhood's over, you're done. I mean, could you imagine? We are just so blessed that we get to keep growing with our kids. And I just encourage you to embrace that. We all have bad days. We all have hard days. I mean, some homeschool days for us, I'm like, this is amazing. This is what I want. And then there's other homeschool days where I'm just like, oh my gosh, can the day be over now, please? So we all have them. It's going to be like that, because what we don't take into account so often is just the human nature of us all. I mean, your kids are not perfect human beings, just like you aren't. And so even though you might be doing the right things, they're not necessarily going to do them. And so we just have to show grace to each other and realize we're all learning, we're all imperfect, but we can make something good out of it still. So yeah. That's all my rambling on the subject. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, please give it a thumbs up if you did. Leave me a comment below with any struggles or fears or anything like that that you might have, or maybe you have encouragement for new homeschool mamas. Leave that down below. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no war.